Welcome friends to another session of the Silk Route to Excel at Word. This Excel at Word is a series of YouTube videos on harnessing the power of Microsoft Word program, and here in this series I will be sharing with you the various functionalities of Microsoft Word that has made this a household name. Apart from that, I'll also be sharing a few tips and tricks to help speed up your work in Word and help you excel at Word. Let's go on to the topic for today.
In this video, we will go to other available options in the layout menu. The last couple of videos we have seen in detail the paragraph options. We'll now go to the page setup options. Like in the paragraph options, in page setup, there are a few advanced options. We'll start with margins. Word gives various options. First is normal, which is the default option. And there is narrow, wherein you get top 1.27. We'll just see the view here. This is one page view, the full complete view. Page view, this is the margin which you see here. This is a narrow margin, wherein you see the margin here decreases on all the sides. This is a moderate, which is slightly more than narrow but less than normal here. And then there's a wide, which is much more than normal. This is useful for your legal sort of documents. Mirrored is that where what happens is that when you go to a two-page view, you will understand this better. This two-page, these are mirrored in the sense that whatever the width is here, the same width is here, and the inner margins are same, the outer margins are same. And then the Office default 2003 default, this was the earlier version of Office. This is the default in 2003. Now in this versions of Office, this is the default 2.54 on all sides. You can always change this to your requirements. Apart from all this, they have got a custom margins wherein you can select your own. You want to have more at the top, for example, you want to have a title, a header on each page. You want to give more there, you can make it 2.9. So this increases, you can see this increases. And if you want to inside 3.17, outside 2.14, you want to reverse it. So inside you want less, outside you want more. So this gap you see, I'll just pull it aside. This is the gap that you see here. This is the gap you see here. You see it changes to reflect your change preferences. You mirror margins here. In case you don't want to mirror margins, make it normal. Then this gap and this gap change. Now this gap is equivalent to the left margin that are the same, the right margin and the right margin are the same. In case you mirror them, I'll make it easier if you make it a bit larger. I'll make this a little smaller. Let us select it. Let us say 1.5. This is 3. Yeah, this is double. This is what? Now this is small. This is large. The left margin is 1.5. The right is 1.3. When you mirror them, make it multiple mirrored margins. Then what happens is that these are both 3. This is 1.5. The outer margin is 1.5. The inner margins are 3. This happens in every page. The odd page is the first page. The odd page is where you get your left margin of 1 point, inside margin 1.5, outside of 3. That, and the right page becomes reverse. the outside becomes 1.5, the inside becomes 3 if it is mirror margins. 2 pages per sheet is what happens when you get like this. It comes in portrait. So this is what happens. The margins remain the same, 1.5 and 3. Book fold is where you need to print a book, and this is how it appears. We'll go to the default fitting of normal, and then the custom margins will go to the normal. So these are default again. Orientation is to be portrait. Fine. This is the default. Orientation you have just seen is can be either portrait or it can be landscape. And one thing which we most of us don't follow is that default by default the page is always set with letter. What I do is change it to A4 because that is a page in which we generally print in all our laser printers and inkjet printers. A4 is a normal page available in the market, so we have set it to A4 so that we get our required page setup. VCWig. VCWig is what you see is what you get. So in case you set it for A4, only then the print will be equal to this one. Set this for letter and then take a printout in A4, it becomes slightly different from what you are seeing here. So keep the page setup size at A4. And the other paper which you normally use in offices is a legal page, what you also call a note sheet page. So this is slightly longer. You can see this para has changed here. This is A4 and this is legal. This you need to be careful at selecting a page setup. And then there are columns. These by default is one column. We can only make two columns. What happens is that the margins are a bit different here. You can select your margins here, and by default all the equal column is ticked, so you can have when you change the spacing, this is spacing with margins. You want to reduce it. This is the spacing, so this you want to reduce it. You can reduce this 1 centimeter, so slightly it comes nearer. And here you can change the margins right now, this right time, so that you will have more space. Not on the top, sorry. We'll go to the default options, and the left margin let us make it slightly bigger so I accommodate more text. Right margin same thing, let us go to 0.2, 2 on both sides. So this is how it looks. There are two paras, and now this is how it looks. If you want to increase the number of columns to 3, but then when you increase the number of columns, my suggestion is to go for a landscape mode, so it look a bigger para. It's up to you, of course. You can always make it into this one. So generally 2 columns are more than enough unless you want to go for specific. Remember, this is not a table. A table is different, a column is different. I'll come to that shortly. So we want left column means what happens is this slightly. This is useful for maybe index sort of a tab wherein you need to give some keywords, this sort of a thing. So this columns is unequal spacing. Now this is removed. Left column is there. Again equal you apply, then again changes to this side. This how you use columns. Breaks, I'll come to that in the next video.
With this, we come to end of today's session of Excel at Word. Please share this with your friends and colleagues and family, of course, to help them, you and me, to excel at Word. Thanks for watching.